Okay, today we are moving on to 6-2, day 1. Now, I hate to break it to you, but we're factoring again. So we had a little vacation from factoring, but we're back to it. But before we get into it, let's review the last lesson. And not the whole last lesson, but just part of it. So we had some problems in the last lesson where we had to multiply 3 things together like this. So sometimes the students struggle with this, so let's just try it again. So I'm going to start by multiplying the front 2 pieces. So first I'm going to distribute the x with everybody in the back. So x times x makes x squared, and x times 2 makes 2x. Then I'm going to distribute the 1 with everybody in the back. So 1 times x is 1x, and 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, let's clean it up so I can combine like terms. And what do you get if you combine 2x plus 1x? 3x. And then the x squared in the front just drops, and the plus 2 in the back just drops. Okay, so now I need to multiply what I just got with this x plus 3, because I've been ignoring him. And he's tired of being ignored. All right, so I need to distribute the x with everybody in the front, and then distribute the 3 with everybody in the front. So here we go with the x. So x times x squared makes x cubed. X times 3x makes 3x squared. X times 2 makes 2x. All right, now let's distribute the 3 with everybody in the front. So what's 3 times x squared? 3x squared. How about 3 times 3x? 9x. And how about 3 times 2? 6. Okay, so I didn't leave any room to combine like terms, so I'll just do it over here. There's no other x cubed, so I just recopy the x cubed. Now let's combine x squareds. So 3x squared plus 3x squared makes 6x squared. Remember, when you add and subtract, you don't do anything with the exponents. An x squared added to an x squared stays an x squared. Combine the x's. Positive 2x plus 9x makes 11x. And there's no other constant to combine with the 6, so we just recopy the plus 6. Okay, I think we'll just skip number 2. We have practiced this for a few days, so hopefully you're feeling much better about it. So let's just do one of those. Okay, little vocabulary. So this problem started off in what's called factored form. So that's what this is. This is factored form. So when something is factored, you typically see parentheses. Sometimes only 1 parentheses, most of the time 2 parentheses. This one has 3. So when something is factored, you typically see parentheses. Then when I multiplied it all out and I got my answer to look like this, that is called standard form. So standard form is when it's all multiplied out and it goes from highest exponent to lowest. So this is standard form, this is factored form. So we just went from factored to standard. Now down here, I want you to go from standard to factored. So that means factor. All right, so I have to revisit those factoring rules that we spent several weeks on. So the first factoring rule says to look for a GCF. That's your number 1 factoring rule. Sometimes problems have it, sometimes they don't. Look at number 1. Do you think there's a GCF? There sure is. 2 can divide into 2, 10, and 12. And look, they all have x's. The greatest number of x's they all have is 1, because he doesn't have more than 1. Remember, every time there's a GCF, you build 1 set of parentheses. Now let's figure out what goes in the parentheses. So 2x times what makes 2x cubed? x squared. 2x times what makes 10x squared? 5x. And 2x times what makes 12x? 6. Okay, so now I'm going to ignore my GCF. I'm going to cover them up. I look inside. There's 1, 2, 3 terms. And when there's 3 terms, I A times C rooftop. And it's the easy one. So A times C, 1 times 6 makes 6. And you want the numbers to add to make 5. All right, so what two numbers multiply to make 6 and add to make 5? 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, because it's the easy one, I can go straight to the parentheses. You put the letter you're working with in the front, and you write the numbers down that you found in the back. So positive 2, positive 3. And then don't forget to drop your GCF. Shoo! And this is factored form. So standard form looks like this, all multiplied out, and factored form looks like this with the parentheses. Okay, number 2. Starting off with the GCF. Do you think we have one? We sure do. It is 3x. 3 can divide into 3, 3 and 36, and they all have an x. Okay, build your parentheses, and let's get back the original problem. 3x times what makes 3x cubed? X squared. 3x times what makes a negative 3x squared? Negative x. And 3x times what makes a negative 36x? A negative 12. Okay, so now I'm going to cover up my GCF. Inside, I've got 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to A times C rooftop, and it's another easy one. So A times C makes negative 12. We want the numbers to add to make the negative 1 that's in the center. All right, so I need 2 numbers that multiply to make negative 12 and add to make negative 1. And it's a negative 4 and a positive 3. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12, and negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Okay, because it's the easy one, I get to go straight to the parentheses. I put the letter I'm working with in the front, and I write the numbers I found in the back. So minus 4 plus 3. And then don't forget to drop your GCF. Shoo! And that's my answer in factored form. Okay, next one up. Always start off looking for a GCF. Do you think the next one has one? It's 3x again. 3 can divide into 3, 18, and 24, and they all have an x. Okay, let's build our parentheses, and let's get back the original problem. 3x times what is 3x cubed? X squared. 3x times what is negative 18x squared? Negative 6x. And 3x times what is 24x? 8. All right. Ignore your GCF. Inside, I've got 1, 2, 3 terms. So I'm A times C rooftopping again, and it's another easy one. What's A times C? 8. What do you want the numbers to add to make? Negative 6. And who multiplies to make 8 and adds to make negative 6? Negative 4 and negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8, and a negative 4 plus a negative 2 adds to make a negative 6. Okay, since it's the easy one, build your 2 straight sets of parentheses, put the letter you're working with in the front, and write your numbers down in the back. Minus 4, minus 2. Is that my answer? No, drop that GCF. Shoo. Now it's in factored form. Okay, we have 3 left to go. All right, first rule, GCF. Do you think number 4 has a GCF? It does. Notice they both have x's. So this time there's no number, it's just an x. All right, so let's get it back. X times what makes x cubed? X squared. X times what makes negative 36x? Negative 36. Okay, I'm going to cover up my GCF. This time I only have 2 terms. 1, 2. When there's 2 terms, we want to see if it's a difference of squares. When it's 3 terms, we a times c rooftop. But when it's 2 terms, we look to see if it's a difference of squares. It's got a minus sign, so it's a difference. And these are both perfect squares. So yeah, so these are the problems where you build your 2 sets of parentheses. One gets a plus, one gets a minus, and then you put your square roots in. And what's the square root of x squared? X, because x times x is x squared. And what's the square root of 36? 6, because 6 times 6 is 36. And then don't forget to drop your GCF. Shoo! And that's our answer. Okay, number 5. First rule, GCF. Do we have one? Yep, it's another 3x. 3 is the biggest number that can divide into 9, 6, and 3, and they all have an x. Okay, let's build our parentheses and let's get it back. So 3x times what makes 9x cubed? 3x squared. 3x times what makes 6x squared? 2x. And 3x times what makes negative 3x? A negative 1. Okay, let's cover up that GCF. Inside, we've got 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to a times c rooftop, but it is not the easy one. I don't have a 1 in front, so I've got to do this one the long way. Drop, replace, drop. So a times c, 3 times negative 1. And we want the numbers to add to make 2. Do you know what multiplies to make a negative 3 and adds to make a 2? 3 times negative 1. Okay, so this one's not the easy one. So you've got to drop, replace, drop. So drop your 3x squared. Replace your 2x with these guys. So plus 3, don't forget is x, minus 1, don't forget is x, and drop the minus 1. Okay, when you've got 4 terms like this, you factor by grouping. So you group together your front 2 and you take their GCF out. And what's the GCF to the front half? 3x. Okay, build your parentheses, get it back. 3x times what is 3x squared? X. 3x times what is 3x? 1. Remember, whatever you write here, copy it over. Back it up. What times x makes a negative 1x? A negative 1. And negative 1 times 1 makes negative 1. Okay, let's build our 2 sets of parentheses and copy, copy. Whatever you wrote here and here, copy it one more time. And whatever's in the front and middle, copy it one more time. 3x minus 1. And then don't forget about Mr. GCF. We took this 3x out at the very beginning, so we need to drop him back down in front. Shoo! Okay. So that was the hardest one on the whole page, but hopefully you kind of remember, since we did spend quite a bit of time doing it at one point. All right, last one of the day. Number 6, do we have a GCF? We do. It's an X. They all have X's. And 1 is the greatest amount. Okay, build your parentheses, and let's get the original problem back. So, x times what is x cubed? X squared. X times what is 8x squared? 8x. And x times what is 16x? 16. Okay, let's cover that GCF up. Inside, I've got 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. So I'm a times c roof-topping it again, but this time my a is a 1, so it's a easy one. So what's a times c? 16. I want the numbers to add to make 8. And what multiplies to make 16 and adds to make 8? 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, because it's the easy one, you can go straight to the parentheses, put the letter you're working with in the front, put the numbers you found in the back. So plus 4, and drop that GCF. Shoo! Okay, that's all for this lesson. Smiley face.